Hey, everybody, tune in to Recent Tartarians.
Recent Tartarians. Recent Tartarians. Recent Tartarians. Recent Tartarians.
Hey, everybody, tune in to Recent Tartarians.
Recent Tartarians. Recent Tartarians.
What up, everybody? Welcome to the show. I just love how audacious that is, especially whenever someone hasn't dealt with it yet. I don't forget if you had to deal with that theme song yet, but it's always like, really?
Oh
Really?
yeah, I've heard it a few times now. I like it.
Okay.
I
There's
like
that-
you use Nina Paley's like goddess from sadomasochism, and you like put your own face on her because that's all public domain, right? She's like the cool anti-copyright filmmaker.
I believe that's part of the deal. Did you hear, like, also there was an artist recently, I forget the name, but just got AI to take all the music that hasn't been made yet, generate all the possible coordinations and melodies that could ever happen, and then put that into copyright left Creative Commons so that they can never be copyrighted by Hollywood ever again.
Right. Well, I would say the amen break pretty much by itself kind of like negates all of copyright law in a weird way. The fact that those people from that B-side from 1969 never saw a dime for what is like the basis for multiple genres of music from a single like 6-7 second sample, whatever.
Dude, the Roxy Music guy. What's the name of the guy from Roxy Music? He says he makes more music from Jay-Z than he ever made off of his own music because this artists get screwed so hard by the record companies. I mean,
yeah.
Well,
Biz Markie was essentially like crucified to kind of make an example of somebody. I think that was really fucked up.
Interesting.
You can't even find a lot of those old Biz Markie tracks anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who's Biz Markie again?
He was a hip hop guy who like used just everything was samples, you know, for his beats and stuff, and so, but he was very free with the amount of time because at the time there was no law. Like that's the ridiculous thing. It's like when there's laws that are put in place, and then the people who did what they did before the law was put in place basically get made an example of, you know, and there's no reason. You're like, dude, he didn't go against any copyright laws at the time of his doing that. Why should you fine him for these older songs? And then it makes me wonder, like, of a lot of the people that no one went after who did the same thing as Biz Markie did. So, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's lucky if you do it for the record company. Like if you're working for the record company, I feel like that's where DJs should be anyway. The record company's got all these tracks that nobody cares about anymore because they're like 20-year-old songs and the kids haven't heard them. Their job as marketers are to remix those tracks and to put them up, right? I mean, they should be paying, you know, for the graffiti, I guess. Well, okay, guys, just to introduce again, a reminder, this is David Charles Plate, MKULTRASOUND. We've done some shows before. He is a synchronicity artist. We thought we'd go over some of the news because, you know, we're a bit jaded, and I feel like the Hunter Biden story doesn't hit as hard as it would have if we were, you know, I don't know. It's just funny when some of the people on TV are just like, oh, my God, Hunter Biden. Can you believe it? He does drugs, the president's son. And it's just kind of like, well, okay, that's a little much, you know, but at the end of the day, it's a serious thing, you know? So it's something I'd like to hear from someone who's as jaded and unbiased as I could possibly think of is David Plate. So what do you think about that?
I love my biases in various ways, but yeah, no, it's, you know, it's just, it's a matter of how I relate to my own biases, I guess, you know, in terms of perspective or whatever. So I can play devil's avocado to my own self, you know.
Did you see the 4chan video from Mr. Obvious? I think that put it into perspective the best. Let me grab wherever that is and just try to like really quickly go over it, but to make sure everyone takes the 10 minutes or whatever it is to watch this video. What is it? 14 minutes? My God. And you know, he's got things that matter also, like Sri Lanka. Like you could watch Project X in Sri Lanka and that matters. And I hope you care about Shibu Abe because these are the things I actually care about. However, just because it was there's so many people that just don't understand how things work and they're like, oh, 4chan bad. They don't get that 4chan is just reporting. It's just people reporting on something that exists, which is, you know, the Hunter Biden iCloud account had a password that was Julia is 26 ! Right? And through that password, they were able to download a copy of his iCloud data. And from that, they were able to extract all of the information that was on the iCloud, including the contact names, right, of and phone numbers of all of his address book. And in his address book, his dad is referred to as Pedo Pete. Okay. And so the reason being, of course, that Peter Henderson is the name of Tom Clancy's Soviet spy who infiltrates Washington, D.C. in one of the Tom Clancy books or series. And apparently there's stories a couple years ago that showed that Biden was referring to himself by pseudonym as Pete Henderson for this character in order to not have people intercept his private communications with his kids, which is completely reasonable. Anyway, the pedo part I can only assume is because he's like he works in a foot salon or something, but that's his mom. And then here's the phone number, and that's don't call those numbers, America, but that's the information. So you could watch that whole video and get more out of it, but I thought that was something to bring up. What do you think, man? What are we airing people?
I mean, I'll tell you just right off the bat, the first time that I ever heard of Joe Biden was, I believe, in the late 90s, when he came out and said he spoke about arresting rave promoters and the owners of buildings where raves were thrown. And he said at the time, he goes, "We know where these parties are happening." He said they're happening in the desert. So he referenced Burning Man. And it was because of MDMA, whatever, and, the party drugs. And so he wanted to shut down dance parties. And I remember at the time, my knee-jerk response was that the only other reference point that I really ever had of that phenomenon is like it literally looked to be a scene straight out of Footloose. And just coming from this politician I had never heard of.
They're dancing in the desert.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and I was just remember like just being furious at this guy. And I was like, what an asshole. Because at the time, those were my friends. So like, I was like, you want to arrest like my friends and the people that facilitate what for me were just like really healing experiences, like dancing all night. And like there, and it's not that rave equals this. It's like it's choose your own adventure when you go to a rave. It's what you want to make of it. And like, speaking of Burning Man, it's like that's the thing about Burning Man. It's like, if you want to go to Burning Man and you want to fucking eat cheeseburgers all day for free and fucking like just drink all day for free and just be a total fucking get wasted, you can have that experience. If you want to go to Burning Man and you want to be fucking vegan, do yoga classes all fucking day, you're drinking
lectures from brilliant people.
Take
lectures. Yeah,
exactly. And Entheon Village and all that. And so it's like it's whatever it is that you want to make of it. And that was always my understanding of like, and that was the freedom. That's the freedom angle, And so like, if that was my introduction to who Joe Biden is. And so can you imagine if that was your fucking dad? If you're like, yeah, that's my dad right there, wanting to imprison millions of people for, what is essentially something that didn't necessarily all of this like come from us regular people in the first place, and the not so secret history of the drug war. I mean, that's a whole other level to the hypocrisy of the whole thing. And I could just go on like a standard Bill Hicks rant, but that rant's already been made by more than just Bill Hicks. So like, I don't need to necessarily state the obvious about the positive drug story.
Mix it, rip it, stop, format it. Yeah. But the thing about Burning Man for me is like, I can't remember if it was the first year I went. I think it was like the second year I went though. I was in the Burning Man the Green Man year, I forget what that was, like 2007, I want to say. It was like right around,
or maybe 2008, I forget. But
right, Kurt showed up. What up, Kurt? Kurt does the music for Advanced Philosophy Memes, which is awesome. I'm glad you were able to make it, bro. You're showing up out of work, I guess. Can you hear me?
Technically, yeah.
Oh, you can hear me. Cool. Yeah, legit. He's escaped. Well, so we were just talking about Burning Man. I was gonna say he was talking about his first experience with Burning Man was Biden saying.
No, not my first experience with Burning Man. My first experience with Joe Biden was him.
Was going against Burning Man. My first experience with a politician at Burning Man, really, I guess is what I'm trying to get at, was Al Gore when I was working for Current TV at Burning Man for the Green Year, because Current TV at that time was this on Enterprise that Al Gore had, that it was trying to film all this stuff and it's filming Burning Man. And at the time, you know, like you have to remember in 2007, Al Gore was on the board of directors for Google, for Apple, for Microsoft. And I can't even name all of the companies, and neither could many, because I'm sure some of it's classified or something. He just owned like the Panama Papers documents for it. But talk about a monopoly period, right? And I got this job because I was going to Burning Man, and I was like, wow, like I can show people what's green about Burning Man. That's going to be the plot of this week, and we're going to film a bunch of stuff, and there's going to be, you know, solar panels at Burning Man and wind turbines. It's going to be a great thing. And I'm probably going to meet Al Gore. I'm probably going to meet the vice president of the United States of America, you know, who's famous for loving the environment. And it's going to be this great thing about an endorsement for how Burning Man is the way, you know, because remember, we're also, David and I are from Santa Cruz, where there was an earthquake that just, we think about how people live on Tornado Alley, but we were at the epicenter of a complete destruction of California that will come eventually. And Santa Cruz was just like wiped out. And we had tents and inflatable domes downtown for decades. Instead of actual cities, it was Burning Man for where we grew up. Right. So anyway, I'm thinking we're going to meet Al Gore. We don't. At the end of the week, he finally shows up. He's not there the whole time. He flies in, watches the man burn down, and flies out. And that's his experience. So for me, it's interesting because I was thinking at that, it means one thing or two, he doesn't care about all the other things that David and I were talking about just now, either getting wasted or getting uplifted, because you could choose to take lectures or drugs or alcohol, whatever, wherever you are in the world, right? So at Burning Man, it's no different. There are professors there, and there are projects you can work on. You can do all kinds of stuff. But he didn't go to that either, right? He didn't go there to just, you know, look at naked girls. He went there specifically just for the ritual, right? Just to watch the man burn down. So I don't know. That was my connection to those. I guess Biden is different in some way, but it's like, do you feel like these people have decided that no, Burning Man's cool because it's just another Bohemian Grove?
You know, it's just that Footloose scene where he just said he wanted to arrest the rave promoters, and he said, "I know where these parties are happening. They're happening in the desert, and they're happening in warehouse spaces." And so he and the owners of buildings he wanted to arrest, and so that was like, you know, my first sense of like who this guy is, and I was like, "Fuck this guy." So when I think back on that, because that was the late '90s. You know, and then I look at like, if dude, I'm just repeating myself now in this podcast, whatever. But it's like, dude, if that was your fucking dad, you're like, dude, you have to process that. Like, that's crazy. Like, and not just everything, you know. And so
Biden's out of touch. He always seemed out of touch, even from the beginning. And like all the old quotes I've heard of him are like about the, you know, comparing African-American neighborhoods to jungles and whatever. Like, I mean, the things that Biden said in the 80s are just completely out of control, you know, in every respect. But okay, so we looked at the doxing and how the doxing worked for getting Hunter Biden's iPhone now, because a year ago or two, whatever, we had the laptop, but this is the iCloud data. And while we put out the password is Julia is 26 exclamation point, you shouldn't probably do that yourself, because who knows what kind of files are on his iCloud. They could be illegal, whether or not it was him who put them there, right? I mean, and that's the thing. Testing the files out will show you from which IP and when these things were edited and updated. But I mean, does it matter? Like, because the thing is, I feel like the people that were swayed by it already are like, yeah, I hate that guy. Nobody's changed seats, you know, over the argument of like anything because of this. What do you think?
Oh, was it me?
Oh yeah, I don't know. It seemed like you had it.
Oh, like I don't know exactly how to respond. I mean, as far as like changing seats, like obviously it's not getting like media coverage, like proportionally. Like you there, I think Sky News like covered it. I think they're super conservative out of Australia. I think NBC ran a story. It wasn't a direct story about it, but NBC they ran like a derivative story off of it. So
Daily
like,
Mail.
Yeah, there's obviously not going to be much coverage over it. Like in the BBC, the headline today was about the January 6th hearings, which is really just being the scapegoat for what's going on. Yeah, in general with all of that. I mean, if the world was fair, I think this would be like bombshell material, you know. But like it's yeah, clearly I think it's all about the oligarchy. Like that's my obsession word recently is just the oligarchy. That's pretty much my summary about it.
So is it real? Is it supernatural and mystical? Because it's like this week we've got CERN, electric storms, solar storms, earthquakes, thunder, lightning, Georgia Guidestones fall down. I mean, I can't list everything. It's all happening at once.
The fall is perpetual.
Right.
I loved that meme today. That was it was Pepe over Filthy Frank. Did you see that today?
Is it in the advanced philosophy memes or?
Yes, it's on APM. That was my favorite meme probably of the week.
Let's pull up some advanced philosophy memes while we're at it. That seems worthwhile. Hold on a second. Where's that at? Working on it. So advanced philosophy memes, everybody. A lot of you guys, it's like a weird it's like the kingdom of rhyme and reason have been divided. And so Mathemagica and Alphabet City or whatever it is in Phantom Toll Booth, that's how it feels. Some people are in APM, some people are in Tartary, Recent Tartarians, and Tartary Nova. Not everyone is in every group. Not everyone is part of the universalized Exertus. But, I think it's interesting to watch this group grow, and we've got some pretty good stuff. Which, can you remind me how far down I have to go to find it?
I think Vincent posted it, Sharon. But so it's the one where like the Batman villain, he's like in the room, and someone photoshops in Filthy Frank, and it's like it's like just this weird epic battle. But then so the evil guy, I forget his name, but like he's like the big mass pedophilia cult that exists, the whole Bohemian Grove shit, and then Filthy Frank is just 4chan. With Pepe,
yeah, you
like
scrolled past it. It was up there actually.
Oh, I went past it. Okay.
I thought it was great.
This one? Oh, this one.
But...
Fredrickson,
yes.
6,000-year-old elite pedo blood cult, 4chan. Exactly. Yes. Yep. That's what's going on right now. I mean, but it's also funny because like you're seeing people on the other side saying like, "Wow, we're so ignorant because." We think we're so arrogant. We're so aware that no one knows anything, but we saw Idiocracy. We saw Fight Club. So therefore we know what's really going on. And we're not being listened to. You know what I mean? I feel like that's a big part as well. But maybe, I mean, I don't know. It's growing as a thing. I think it's pretty well accepted that the photos of Hunter Biden doing crack are probably not falsified.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because like I don't know, it's almost becoming normal for politicians just to do cocaine or just like other family members. So it truly is. I don't know. It seems like a product, kind of a product of the 21st century. Just the fact that we can have access to all this information. Like, yeah, we have like JFK slept with a ton of women probably, and we have rumors that Nancy Reagan was the queen of blowjobs. But it's like it was just kind of hush hush, I think, back in the day. I think that's the main difference.
Yeah. So I've been doing some of these posts where I'm waiting to see if you can get them to like put a weird false information sticker over these things because of the context.
Oh, yeah,
and I don't think they're really going to be bothering with that because I think, as far as I can understand, they have to allow. Even with the context. But this one's funny. They were like, they released 5 million barrels of oil from the U.S. natural reserves from the U.S., right? Okay. But then it says missing context. So I'm trying to get this to happen, the missing context button. And then the missing context is going to pull up this fact check and it tells you, But what you should do is you take a photo of the fact check and just put that up and see what happens, I think. Because and the debunk comes from Timcast. That's pretty funny. That's pretty good right there. Dang. All right. Well, okay. In terms of the rest of the world, have you guys seen what's going on in Japan? What do you think about Shinzo Abe?
That was 10 seconds into a speech with what was essentially like a shoebox, if I'm not mistaken. What the fuck was that?
Like electric gun, right? It was a handmade gun.
Yeah.
It was
very-
proof that gun laws are really silly. It's like, look, a Japanese guy with an engineering degree is not going to be thwarted.
I
by
think
gun
what is
law.
it? What is the statistic that Japan in 2021 had one killing by?
Yeah, but that has more to do with honor. I mean,
gun?
there's less people that deserve to die probably in Japan or something. You know, how many people get killed in Japan? It's probably because it's the Old West and they carry swords sometimes.
You think
still.
it's swords? You got to look into
Dude.
how many swords deaths.
How many people
You know,
don't have
they have
fingers,
some
right?
cautionary tales, you know. But
Yeah.
I don't know, man. We could talk to Snor. He'd school us all, you know.
That would be good. That's the thing, you know, it's speculation until we deal with people that are dealing with the Yakuza on a daily basis. But I feel like if they're not killing people, it's because the people are learning to fit within whatever system that they've been asked to fit within. What was have they got any words yet out of the dude that they caught with the gun, with the machine?
I don't know the details beyond just the surface story.
I've been trying to figure out, like, is he like a Korean Shinzai? Is he like upset about the militarization of Japan or Shinzo Abe? Like, what was his beef? You know what I mean? I'm curious what he had as an issue.
Every time anything like this happens, like, and including I kind of have this kind of like network of scenarios that kind of all tie into like the scapegoat phenomenon. So like you mentioned scapegoat earlier, and I think that's a really interesting topic. And so, like, first of all, just the phenomenon of the othering of the otherable, and the way that, you know, like I'm very much from, in certain ways, not in all ways, but in the Wilhelm Reich school of thought, where when we're looking at political ideologies and political parties, and then we're looking at neuroses, what is the basis for what? And so, like, what I see, you know, I mean, it's easy enough to say, oh, they're all the same or whatever, but no, like, there's a particular dynamic, and I don't know, like, to what degree it's coordinated or what degree it's just like that's just the way it goes, happenstance or whatever, but it's like the parties fill in for each other's evils. And so it's like, and we know, like, when people say the lesser of two evils, like, you can look at 1972 at Hunter S. Thompson speaking to this, how tired he was of how many times do we have to go through this shit show fucking circus of them giving us, you know, these options that are both fucking overtly evil and saying this is all you got. And so that's why, like, you know, when 9/11 happened for him, he was just like, well, that's fucking over. Like, because he couldn't see any way out of it. He was like, yeah, there was like a window of hope. And at that point, it was like a tipping point. And so, like, when people talk about, like, kind of the Philip K. Dick idea of, like, the splitting off into, like, another timeline, so to speak, if that happened for us, you know, like, at least in my paradigm that I exist within and what I see reflected in my culture, it's like that seems to be the point of departure somehow. And so, like, that formula that went into 9/11, like false flag terrorism, you know, that doesn't mean, like, there's this weird thing, like, and it feels like a weird fucking PR type thing, the way that hoax gets used. When people say hoax, it feels very straw man to me. And it's like, it's a weird form of gaslighting, because it's like, you know, a false flag doesn't mean that nobody got hurt or that it's all staged or whatever. False flag also ties in with just like opportunism that surrounds tragic events, you know? And so, like, when tragic shit happens, yeah, there's a million kinds of opportunities to swoop in, but then at the same time, yeah, I do think that there's directed shit. That thing that just happened in what is it, Highland Park? Am I saying that right? Where was that? Is that
the shooting? Yeah, what's it called? Yeah, Highland Park in Chicago. That's right. Sorry.
Yeah. It's like, you look at that guy and it's like, oh, what music did he listen to? The Drain thing? I don't know if you were familiar with Draining before this guy, but it's just like a few people or whatever. It's a genre. But I'll tell you something about fucking genres of music that, you know, I'm sure many people may realize, especially when it comes to electronic stuff. It's like, you have, you know, dubstep. There's different types of dubstep. There's like the Rasta dubstep, and you're like, you smoke fucking blunts to it. There's like dubstep that's very much geared towards ketamine. And people who take ketamine can fucking feel it. They can hear it. They're like, oh, this is fucking ketamine music. It's GHB. It's more whoa. There's another thing that's, you're like, oh, this is more towards the GHB. Like back in the day, like you'd have like, you know, acid house was acid. That's the point. Like, and just trance too.
And
It's
certain
like
kinds of ecstasy, rave music, you know.
Yeah, and then you have ecstasy.
Burning Man was like
house.
that. You go to these different tents and the different music, and you could tell like everyone's sweating those drugs, whatever those drugs are.
Right. And so like and you listen to the Woodstock recordings, you're like, wow, that's a lot of really good acid, you know, like whatever. But it's like that's the thing. But then I'm like, what is draining? And so like there's a million fucking RCs out there that I'm not exposed to, you know, like I mean we've kind of made, you know, kind of fictional stories. What was that one with fucking what's his name of the guy where he has like the intelligence drug that makes him
Limitless.
Thank you. Limitless.
Yeah.
And that
Which is
kind
probably AMT, I would hope.
yeah. Or the other one was Scarlett Johansson.
I think
Lucy.
I think also though Naked Lunch. Naked Lunch is kind of really about
sure. The mugwumjism can't be beat. Yeah, you know, totally.
But you know, my episode I came out earlier today. I did like the first chapter of Acid Dreams, and I've also done the prologue now. And if you start to listen and look into some of the cited information since that book came out, like in 2018 and 2019, more and more FISA papers have come out from MKUltra work talking about pharmaceutical company interactions where, you know, what would happen is pharmaceutical companies would make a really great drug that was psychoactive and then they couldn't sell it. And then the government would say, well, that's just great because we're actually looking for stuff with side effects. That's, you know, kind of the thing we need for interrogation.
Right.
So,
although Jan Irvin, whatever, he just told me the other day on Twitter before he blocked me that Acid Dreams is just completely full of shit, and he's debunked it entirely. So he debunked Acid Dreams. So I don't know if I can.
What's his deal? I mean, so
Jan Irvin? Oh, yeah. I have a bit of a history with Jan, so I don't even know if I can say his name. Is he fucking Jan? I think of Brady Bunch when I say that.
Yeah.
But no, there was an always record that he edited out like 18 minutes of, because we always gave our guests the option to edit out stuff. And so I don't know. I'm no longer on Facebook, you know. I got removed from Facebook for you know, sharing screenshot from the CDC website. So I'm basically like on Twitter looking at the Twitterverse, and if I see Jan Irving, so I basically just called him out as a hack, and then it was like a mile-long thread of like back and forth of us, you know, him basically ad hominem me, calling me a Satanist. He said I was a Satanist because I went to a Marilyn Manson concert. He told me I was a druggie because I told him about an experience with LSD during a full lunar eclipse that I had at a Marilyn Manson concert many years ago. And so I'm a druggie and I'm a Satanist. And you know, Kabbalah is Satanism, and he discussed this apparently with Jewish scholars, and they agree. So I don't know what to say. You know, it's just like one of those kind of wackadoo situations. But the thing is that he'll show stuff from the CIA influencing counterculture all over the place. I agree with most of it. Like, there's nothing to disagree with. And so you're like, dude, I'm not actually like, you know, I can't embrace the concept that Jim Morrison wasn't like if Jim Morrison was like CIA, like, because, you know, everybody who's from a military family from Laurel Canyon wasn't just rebelling, they were actually like, you know, working with the system. Like, to what degree? Like Grateful Dead, fuck yeah, dude, acid tests, CIA, I get it, you know, they're all up in that shit. But at the same time, I won't ascribe to the school that says that the counterculture was just like a CIA op, like that was all directed. Like, what control is there is relative. And so that's my point of departure, I guess. And some people go further than that the whole of it, the whole counterculture is contrived. Because then I have to just go, well, what about a fucking Abby Hoffman? You know, I mean, like, he's running from the CIA his whole fucking existence, you know, FBI or whatever, you know. It's like, yeah.
I gotta wonder about Abby Hoffman. It's like, it, you know, he got a lot of propaganda made against him, making it look like he was super wealthy when he wasn't. And, you know, there was definitely a push to keep people from sending him money and to keep the program working. But, you know, he did spend so much time on the run because this drug charge situation that he, you know, left from because he was scared.
Right. Well, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, Steele, this book is full of great, helpful hints for how to get by, especially at that time. Not all of them translated into the future because you have, you know, dumpster diving techniques to get, you know, freshest stuff, like how to, like, you know, get by with very little. And it was from such an, it's hard to imagine that coming from a place that's not experiential, you know. So I think he's legitimate. He's so like that encircling of the Pentagon, to levitate the Pentagon, and then when they put the flowers in the barrels of the guns, like that whole thing, like it looks like it's PR. I completely agree, but it's like a satire on PR. It's like we'll make our own PR. It's kind of like, you know, the John Lennon thing. Like, you know,
I like the first thing that comes up when I look for Jan Irving is debunking Jan Irving part 2.
Mhm.
So there's like a thing on there. I don't know. Maybe this guy just hates Jan Irving or something. But he's got a whole.
No, the thing is that he'll make a great bunch of great observations, and they'll all check out, and then he'll extrapolate something from it that if you don't feel that his A plus B equals C actually is absolute, then he like has a conniption fit. So that's the problem. Like we never got in arguments with people on Always Record. We would sometimes veer a bit into debate, but it wasn't like an argumentative place. It was very much like dialogue, directed, totally cool. And there was basically what was essentially an anti-Semitic meltdown from Jan. And I said my rabbi, I used the words my rabbi, and he quote, "You fucking people with your fucking club," went on and on. And he was like, and I'm like, dude, and I told him right off the bat in the conversation, I was like, if you want to go the fuck off about the state of Israel and Zionism and all the fucked up shit, like I'm right there with you, bud. Like I don't you know, but I'm not gonna like basically facilitate or like give a platform to without giving a rebuttal to like speaking to a whole people. Like Jews are fucking funny. If 6 million more Jews were in the world that continued to propagate, we'd be laughing so much harder at this shit. And I think that people need more laughter, man. Seriously, like, I mean, that's like that was my thing to Ricky Gervais when he talks about like if you could go back in time and kill fucking Hitler. Like, I'm like, this is a weird thought, and I'll just say it like just to entertain, you know, this kind of thing, like. If Hitler had a vision of the future, and it's the future that we're living in, that he foresaw in regards to Israel, okay, and he was like, holy shit, that's fucked up. He sees Gaza being destroyed, and he's like, I got to stop that from happening. So he goes, and you know, the Holocaust happens, and the thing that was his vision was the thing that he was trying to stop by doing what he's doing. And if he hadn't done what he did, then the world would be a much funnier place, because Jews are funny. You know, I'm Jewish, by the way. If any listener is listening and doesn't, you know, wants to, you know, feel like
they're taking your Wi-Fi away from you. They're blurring you out because the Wi-Fi. Like someone's like, stop them in. I got a super chat from Travis McClung who said, "Is that a painting or a collage behind David?" Yeet and yeet back. We always yeet back to Travis because he's a professional yeeter.
It's a collage that I did using entirely R Crumb. It's a giant R Crumb piece.
Do you have anything nearby, or like do you have a photo on your computer screen share or anything? Just to give them kind of a vibe of your art style. I can get it to somebody
later if they want to contact me. But
guys, you gotta check out. You gotta check out his art. What he does is he takes like tiny pieces of things and mosaic collages them into these huge Hieronymus Bosch like tapestries of, you know, of divas from the 40s and 50s, and, you know, porn stars from the 70s, and actors and I mean, just in terms of gestalt, it's like some of the greatest art. You do a great thing.
So yeah, if you go to the syncbook.com/sync media research, but if you just go to the syncbook.com and you scroll down and you see where it says videos, and you'll see like an image of Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz with the single beam turning into the rainbow from Dark Side of the Moon, and you click on that, in the top paragraph there's a link to my art.
Syncbook, the Syncbook, right? The syncbook.com.
Yeah.
And then go down. Where do I go? Videos?
Scroll down, or videos, either way. Yeah. See Syncflix.
And then
with Dorothy.
Syncflix. Yeah. Where's your?
And then the art. See where it says art towards the bottom of that paragraph there. I don't know if you can see that. I'm pointing as if you can see my fucking finger, but I know. Yeah, you see it. You're
using Meta. There we go. See America and Earth. This is what you're talking. This is pretty great stuff. You need this on jackets. We're gonna have to talk later about getting this on clothing. I mean, for the love of God, everyone needs to see this all the time. But you can get posters and stuff. So you work in like a print shop, right? Don't you like put out?
Yeah, I do G Clay printing, very large printers, and I frame and I stretch canvases and I touch up people's art and I do all kinds of things.
What is that like? Like, what do you do when you? So how do you stretch a canvas? Like, how's that? What's that all about?
You have to stretch your bars, just the wood, and then you use a nail gun that pushes up like what are basically like kind of like I don't know, the staples from below, and you know use a foot pedal to put them in place or whatever. So yeah, saw, staple gun thing or nail gun thing, and then you just take the canvas, fold it, use ATG around the edges, use like a stretching tool, and with a staple gun, you know.
Do you do this to like blank canvases or already printed on canvases, or what's this about?
Usually already printed on. I mean, I have done blank for people before, but not usually.
How do you stretch? Yeah, how do you stretch like it? Do you make sure not to mess up
leverage? Yeah, sometimes I've stretched canvases before and then found out like right afterwards that they were like fucking already sold for like $20,000+ Like that's happened to me.
Wow.
And I'm like generally very glad if I don't know that ahead of time, you know, because you're pulling on a canvas, and like it's very rare that a canvas will tear, but it can. So like, yeah, I've had
man. God. So I mean, it sounds like that's a pretty cool thing. So like, you're pretty used to working with like actual physical art in this world. That's, you know, so many people are going towards the metaverse. What do you think about that? Like, do you see yourself in the metaverse more, or do you think that more like that this printing and real stuff is a bigger deal?
Well, it's hard to be in the metaverse when you get kicked off of Facebook for sharing that. I got kicked off of Facebook for stuff that now would be fine to say. That at the time when I said them, it wasn't. So the day that I got kicked off of Facebook was the same day that they had of the largest companies in the world, they had the biggest stock drop in the history of the stock market. Was the day that I got booted. So
yeah.
So as far as like when you say metaverse, you know, I'm like, well, I got kicked out of that country club, and apparently I'm not invited to the metaverse, which doesn't make it feel that expansive, you know. That the metaverse isn't inclusive. It's
Brittany had that problem.
You know?
Yesterday or the day before, whenever. So like, I told Brittany, you know, about the 4chan, you know, Kiwi on thing with Biden's laptop. So she put like a TikTok video up that was like referencing this stuff, and they took it down, saying it was, I forget what, but it was harmful material and bad and inappropriate guidelines or whatever. Yeah. And she appealed it, and now it's like, you know, today it's common knowledge. So everyone's making hashtag Pedo Pete. Like it's everywhere. And if she had said it the next day, it wouldn't have been a problem at all. But because she broke this story to that network, right? Most people didn't know about it in those circles yet. Then it was considered to be. So, you know, is it maybe that and what's that mean? I mean, is the story going to come out anyway? And are they just annoyed that they don't get to be the ones to tell people? Or
I don't know, man. Oh my God. It's so funny. Him with the fucking, it's just like, I'm watching a dude going down a slide, like naked, and then he's like playing with his dick or whatever. It's just him hanging out. And I'm like, why do I need to see, like, there's most of those videos, there's nothing there. I mean, I watched some video that was supposed to be Joe Biden with a Delaware tattoo on his back whipping some naked girl, and like could be deep fake, could be whatever, and it's like I don't know, like, but like honestly, like I'm like nothing would really be that shocking, you know. But I mean,
exactly.
And then at the same time you're like, dude, well, you know, we want to live in a age where it's like where people can be free to not be hung up on things that are all good and natural. But then you're like, the showering with the daughter thing, she said it. So it's like, so this thing when certain things come from the people themselves, and then you can't call it an accusation when they're saying it, like the daughter said that. So it's like, okay, yeah, it's a little weird, you know. And then it's all, when you have enough little weirds, then it stops being a little weird. Then it's like, gets really weird, and you're like, okay, but like, I don't know, man, that paradigm that those people exist within, like, I have no point of reference for it, and I think that that's always the thing, like, about the proletariat, right? Is there's always the idea that if people got what the upper class had, if they were in the same position, what would they gravitate towards, and so I don't know. Like, the thing is, in all those videos and everything, it's just like Hunter just looks so miserable. And if they're out there, it almost feels like, was that really like an accidental leak? Like, that looks like maybe a call for help. Like, everything's just a call for help. It's just like, and he's not happy. And that for me is the big takeaway. And I'm like, I think that it's, I don't know.
On Base AF, they said they thought maybe, I forget it was Adam who said, maybe it's that Hunter has something over Joe so much that he can do this stuff, and they can't stop him because he's got like his own Mockingbird somewhere.
Right. Well, I mean, the blackmail phenomenon is so, I mean, that is everywhere. It's so, and any blackmail that you ever hear about by necessity has to be the tip of the iceberg because of what the nature of what blackmail fucking is. Blackmail generally works when you have people that are in a position to pay off the blackmailer, depending on whatever it is. And it doesn't even necessarily always mean that it has to be true. I'm just saying, like,
that's why politicians are who they are. They pick people that are blackmailable a lot of the time.
Right. Shit goes on. Yeah. Oh man.
I don't know. It seems kind of funny though, because it's like on one level, terrible, but on another level, Hunter Biden, America, like he's America's boy.
That's what he wanted. I think
I thought I used to, for a minute there, I tried to force myself to look at, Barron Trump as America's boy, and it doesn't work. It's a philosophical thing. It's a fairy tale thing. He's a fairy prince.
I think he's going to be our last president.
I would love it, but according to the book,
the last president,
that'd be the book, yeah. And Bannon and Barron, you've seen the Bannon is Barron time travel conundrum. It'd be great. I hope so.
I read the Last President, 1900 Last President. I haven't read all of the Barron Trump's
Marvelous Underground Adventures. Yeah, I have to put. Yeah. I'm gonna do an audio book of that one. I have The Last President read by myself as the robot, but I'm gonna do the Underground Adventures one with his dog. I mean, there's something weird about the fact he didn't have a dog, right?
Dude, of all of it, it's the fucking Trackdown episode. And you got to watch the full Trackdown episode. Don't just watch the clips of it.
Which one's it? Oh, let me pull up what you're talking about.
Trump Trackdown. Just type in Trump Trackdown. It's pull it up.
What am I looking at here? Trump Trackdown YouTube or what?
Yeah. There's a short clip of it. Go to videos.
Okay. And this is Western Trackdown, codename man Trump. Oh, codename con man named Trump comes to town and warns the people that the world will be destroyed, and he's the only one who can save them by building a wall. That's the title of this movie, and this guy's the Trump guy who builds.
It's a show. It's an episode of a Western that was kind of in the same vein as like Gunsmoke or whatever.
And he's got like a Masonic like coat with his stars and his astrology drum, and so he's a rainmaker or something like that. An untrustworthy rain-making wall building.
He's a snake oil salesman who tells the people that they need to build a wall, which is he describes as a wall, but it's an allegory for that they need to hold these carousels up so that they don't get hit by meteors, and he will sell them the carousels.
And well, they say this really happened too. At the end of the episode, it's one of those dragnet thing. They're like, "This is a true story."
Kind of, yeah. And so, has been adapted for television. It's not saying it's a true story.
It's America, David.
You're right. But anyway, yeah. If somebody wants to watch this, you got to watch the full episode. It's like 20-something minutes, whatever. And it's just like, it's of everything that I've seen in terms of like Trump predictive stuff. It's just like it's so funny. Everything is so funny. You have to laugh. Like it's fucking over the top, man.
So predictive programming in Gunsmoke. Is it Gunsmoke or is this it's another show?
The show is called Trackdown.
Oh, okay. Wow.
It was one of those,
Track down.
Texas Rangers, man.
Got it. And they're like Pinkertons, and they have to track down con men and criminals and whatever. Oh my god.
Yeah, so he
That
tells them
does
the
sound
world's
great.
gonna end. Yeah,
That sounds like a great show in general, man.
yeah. Well, basically, what the people, it's that there's a formula. Like, this is very similar to the Disney cartoon of Chicken Little, the old one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where you're just like, originally it was Mein Kampf that he takes out. It didn't just say psychology. That's the original version, I guess, that they made a change or whatever. But like, it's that, like, it's like South Park or something. It's like, let's just explain it to you like you're 6-year-olds, of just like what the formula is or what the phenomenon is, because it's a con, and like, as far as I'm concerned, like, anthropologically, the health of the king is reflective of the health of the kingdom. And like, Trump's doctor can call him the healthiest president ever or whatever.
Well, he's certainly healthier than the next guy.
That's what I'm saying, though, because Trump was the oldest president we've ever had in the history of America.
Until now, we're going to have an 80.
Saying. That's what I'm fucking saying. It's just like, just when you think you couldn't get any older, if you're saying the health of the king is reflective of the health of the kingdom, and you elect the oldest president in history, and you replace him with an even older fucking president, at least you could have gone with the guy who is fucking snappy, who is like, even, I think Sanders is even older than fucking Biden, but at least he's like on point, he's at least, he's not falling asleep. Like, dude
can't fall asleep
like in a rocking chair. He needs like a dog in a rocking chair by the fire, and like just like read his newspaper, have his wife bringing him coffee. He doesn't need to be in this job, man. It's a fucking job. Like, it's like, dude, I mean, my God.
You've seen Wild in the Streets, right? Greatest movie ever made, probably, Wild in the Streets. And I would have uploaded it, but I think they've got some weird thing where someone else has got the control of it. I don't know why I haven't uploaded. I should do it. I think I tried, and there was some copyright, and only this person got to do it. I'm gonna look into that. Here's the thing about this movie: greatest movie ever told. It's about America. Everyone is 1964, 68. The voting age is 21, and they can still draft you at 18. So they're trying to lower the voting age. And they're like, wait, why 18? Why not 14? And they're like, 14 or fight. And they do it. And this rock star who lives in Beverly Hills because he used to sell acid, but now he sells records, blew up his dad's car, is super successful. They get a next child star who started taking acid, became a vegan, and is a nudist now, to be endorsed as a candidate. And she lowers the voting age and also Richard Pryor, by the way, was in this movie and couldn't act again for 10 years because apparently he and Shelley Winters had some sort of a sexual romp. But
is that right?
Yeah, maybe he peed in her hair.
Shelley.
I heard he peed in her hair. I don't know how true it is. That's the Hollywood story. But he gets this.
I would think Sue Lyon before Shelley Winters, but okay, whatever.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's interesting perspective on Shelley Winters because she comes off as kind of a sweetheart. But if you ever saw that movie, Last Stop in Greenwich Village, who she really is. Anyway, 15 years old is
or The Visitors.
Yeah, Visitors good. Apple Dumpling Gang too, and isn't the dragon, Pete's Dragon? But they lower the voting age, and not just the voting age, because the riots in the streets that happened in Los Angeles, they even lower the election age for being a senator or a governor or a mayor or a president to 14. And then they win in court because actually it's the baby boom. So 51% majority of people under the age of 21. And then they lower the age to 14. So they put everyone over 30 because all the people over 35 are freaking out. They had to put them in camps to calm them down. And then they get them out of work. They retire them at 35. Everyone has to start taking LSD. And they psych out all the old people on LSD in order to decondition them from their imperialist industrial military complex society. And then they build this new Aryan youth fascist utopia that you have to be under the age of 30. 30 is a mandatory retirement age. And they're trying to be like peace and love because they're hippies. But the irony being that eventually, because they realize they're in power, they put everyone else in you know.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got a Clockwork Orange aspect in terms of Kubrick's quote that it was a kind of a warning against the quote new psychedelic fascism, where fascism comes through the back door, so to speak. If you've ever hung out with kind of like elitist, like ayahuasqueros, like, you know, white ayahuasqueros, like that you can come against some like the most extreme ego. Like you'll find the most like dramatic fucking meltdowns at yoga centers, you know. It's like people going anywhere where they're trying to get away from everything. It's like, dude, I mean, I've seen some ego meltdowns in my life, but nothing like at fucking yoga centers, you know. Anyway.
It does feel though like we're walking away from progress, you know, but maybe so. Are we looking at Hunter Biden the wrong way? Should we look at him with compassion? Is there something there where it's like,
I'm not one for like pity, or like I don't like when you say like you feel sorry for someone. Like feeling sorry is like you're literally feeling sorrow. Like what? Who is that good for? Like it's not good for the person you're sorry for, and it's not good for you. It's fucking completely fucking pointless. But at the same time, I'm always alert to the phenomenon of scapegoatism. You know, that this is a tendency that goes way the fuck back, that actually, like, if you do it consciously and you do it in such a way, it can have its place, you know. So like, but we don't generally do it that way. We just kind of do it like whatever we're drawn to, and we're manipulated by that a lot, you know. And so like, it's that you put a charge on something and then you become defensive of the other polarity to such a degree that it's like, dude, because that's the problem with the Democratic Party, is just the blind spots and the hypocrisy, and anyone can see it. And you're like, but you want to think the best of yourself. But everybody wants to think the best of themselves generally, you know. No one wants to think that they're bad people. And from what I gather, there's certain ways that people can be, you know, I said it before, but it's basically that they fill in each other's blanks, you know. It's like, well, you do this and then we compensate in this other direction, and it's so fucking dualistic, you know. It's like the red and blue thing. Are you for real? Like it's got to be like that, like, you know. I mean, my God, like why does it have to be like that? That's like, you know, you're like, you set up a foundation like that, what the fuck do you expect? And you got people going neurotic all over the place. So all the, you know, the BLM riots and whatever, the protests and all of this, it's like people felt so constricted in the lockdown. It's a prison term, you know, and you're like, I can go out, I can fucking do something that's right, like you know, and it's a moral feeling of a moral obligation, but it's also you just wanting to fucking do something, you know, like, and the protests that we have, like we used to be able to fucking hold signs and like have enough people together. It was like when George W. won the second time, that was the biggest protest in the history of the United States in New York City, actually. And you can see fucking footage from above, like, and you're like, this is it is insane how many people, and it got no media coverage whatsoever. It was so it didn't have, most people don't even know that there was a fucking insanely massive protest, but they're fucking standing there. And then you had Occupy, and like, you know, you and I know, it's also in my sync book chapter, that you have the Lucis Trust connection with
right.
the original Occupy website. So when people say Adbusters or whatever, it's like, yes, Adbusters did this, whatever. And you know, this is from, you know, a part of the UN, you know, at least
occupation, a military occupation through civilians in a state. So terrorism.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird when you think about the Occupy movement because of all the money. Like, I remember Teamster buses. I was talking to Jorge Ventura the other day, and I was remembering in 2008 in Oakland, Teamster buses came into the middle of the protest, and all these guys came out, like, we gotta get up, let's go, and they got everybody into the buses. And then they said transporter, but I noticed, I've got footage of it somewhere I gotta find, I swear, it's missing a T, so it's this transporer, you know, like spores. And so it's getting this mushroom van bus protest vehicle that is literally run by Teamster unionists to bring it to the dock filled with protesters, so that the dock will have no way to open up and they won't be able to bring in the packages coming, the shipments from China. So then the Chinese boats will have to go back to China, and then they'll have to report that they were not allowed at their ports, which is hopefully they just open it along.
Dude, I can't like it. The idea, like, if I see a crowd like that, I'm sorry, maybe you and I are different in this way, but I walk the other way, dude.
Yeah,
And
right.
like,
Well,
because my thing is like, I'm like, dude, like, if you're like holding the line, like, I get it, I get fucking Dapple and all this shit, like, but like, you're holding the line, and some motherfucker, some brown shirt has to fucking throw a can of fucking soup or whatever. And I've seen it footage in Oakland when it happened at the beginning of the pandemic, and it's like, dude, they just unloaded the fucking rubber bullets and the fucking smoke bombs and all this shit as soon as one guy. So you're like, I'm like, I don't want to be like, I'm about individuation, man. Like, I understand like the need to organize and shit and all of these things, but it's like, also, I don't want to participate in a protest that you can't see the direct link between the action that you're taking and the thing that you're protesting,
Right.
like, and so if you're blocking traffic for this thing, it's like, I mean, if your issue is related to traffic, okay, then maybe people can reflect on it. But if your fucking thing is about animal testing, don't fucking block people on their way to work. What the fuck are you thinking? You're going to get them on your side? That's like fucking Jan being like, I'm going to fucking call you all these names until you see my point. It's like, dude, that doesn't work that way. If you want somebody to walk away from a debate and actually reflect on their shit in any way, they're going to be going over it in their head. Like, if they're going over just just name calling or whatever the fuck, then that's what they're, and it just continues the thing, man. You don't actually get anywhere. Like, it's like,
Do you remember that thing that happened? We got BK. What's up, BK? Is this William John or is it someone else?
This is Will.
Oh, what's up, Will?
Can we hear you? Are you just showing us a movie? Are you trying to be mysterious? Should I walk across the hall and check on you?
I don't know if we're gonna be allowed to show.
His volume is off. That's what it is.
Oh, you might need to tell me when you get that fixed, because I don't know if we can show that movie screen. We're probably gonna get like in trouble. I don't know what it is. I mean, you have to tell me what it is so I know if it's how old it is, who owns it, so I can be careful. I don't want to get in trouble. But I'm so curious though. Look at that. Oh, it's come on. Gene
I
Hackman.
think he's watching the fucking what is it called?
French Connection?
No, it's the other one. It's the Conversation or something. What the fuck is it called?
Oh man,
I don't know what he's doing.
It's pretty esoteric. It's very esoteric. Wait,
All
there
right.
he is. There he is. Cool.
Hey,
all right, now
turn on your volume.
turn on your volume. I can't unmute your mic for you.
Turn up your mute.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Now I can hear you. All right, you better be careful. Put your head in the middle more so we're not having too much of your screen. I need to make sure this is fair use. Yeah.
We have copyright problems,
All the time, man. If you do it just like that, if you replace Gene Hackman, you're basically, this is like that movie, the Royal Tenenbaums, where they just put their heads in front of all of the monuments in New York so that they could film in New York. No one would know, but it's like, yeah, nice. I like what you're doing.
Like Conan, the first 5 years of Conan was him just putting his mouth through like a picture of a funny dude or some shit.
Kind of. Also, I mean, just in terms of him like working on The Simpletons. I mean, The Simpsons, right? Like, so he was trying to do this, right?
When are they going to make the Clintons?
Yeah, right. That would be. So
Right?
that's kind of my point here. Is like, don't we need like the Suicide Patrol, Suicide Boys movies kind of thing, Suicide Girls, whatever, the Suicide Squad like version of politics anyway. And so they should make more things about the American psycho politicians like Gavin Newsom and Hunter Biden. I think is a perfect candidate. He's not quite a politician, I guess, but he could be. I think he could be president. Really, honestly, the way things
What
are going.
about the Barstool Sports guy? Aren't they playing him against Hunter Biden?
Which one's that? The Barstool Sports guy? Is
Pizza
that Tucker
Portnoy.
Carlson?
What's his name?
Pizza Portnoy?
The
I don't
Boston
know.
guy. Portnoy, who does the pizza reviews, Barstool Sports. You don't know him?
Portnoy.
He's like the other side of the Hunter Biden coin, I think.
Really? I don't get the connection yet, but I'm really interested. Like, I want to hear it out. Hold on, here's Peter Portnoy.
There you go.
There you go. Somebody explain, like, what does this mean? Peter Portnoy ate pizza daily. Oh, ate pizza. Is that are you going somewhere with this? Or like, what did he do? Is he against him or is he for him?
I don't know.
If you want to know how this guy how he ate pizza every day but didn't gain weight, he's letting you know.
Oh,
that
crack.
it wasn't just pizza. Yeah.
It was crack. Okay.
Right. There you
I
go.
get it. Not
It's
sorry.
it's like the Subway guy where it's like he had AIDS, you know,
Yeah.
not like the disease, but like, you know, people
Oh
helping him
no!
or
So we're all Hunter Biden, right?
whatever.
We are all Hunter
Portnoy
Biden.
Guy, this Portnoy guy doesn't have a laptop per se, but he's had tapes. He's had multiple tapes of him doing like the Gian Gelmeshi, WBEZ first #Me Too kind of fall. Like he's had like some rough sex tapes get out there, and he just doesn't. He's non-apologetic. He owns up to it. He lets his Hunter Biden just sort of be free, and he moves on.
He's from Boston.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. What? So there's like there's like some footage of me like knocking around or whatever, like whatever. Like I can see that. Yeah. So it's what? Is it like in 3D?
The whole point is that people say he could be president someday.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we all
Because, like you said, there's a large majority of people out there who identify with Hunter Biden.
dude. I mean, like rap stars, Suicide Kids, people like Machine Gun Kelly. You know what I mean? Like I feel like all those kids would like be like, yeah, Hunter Biden. His name is Hunter. Cool. He does
What
crack.
about Clarence Thomas?
Dude, what about Clarence
He
Thomas?
said, I'd rather be killed than step off of this judicial process. You know, when he was being hung out to
Yeah.
dry with the pubic hair?
Did you see
He
what
said,
all
I'd
these
rather be
people?
killed.
Do you see what all these white people, leftists, were saying on Twitter around that time? They're using the N-word to describe him. They're like, I can't believe that N-word doesn't realize we're trying to help his people. Doesn't he get it, or is he too ignorant? And then they're like, oh, I'm sorry. He just made me so angry. I said it, but I'm not a racist, And these were like Democrats and leftists that were saying, how could this N-word do these things to us? The liberals that are trying to. It was crazy.
Dude, you ever seen, oh man, William H. Macy? I think it was a film that was made from a play where he has all this like repressed racism that's like he's William H. Macy being William H. Macy. So if you can visualize, like he's neurotic, whatever. And he just like has this whole outburst. And he ends up killing somebody, and he's just saying the N-word like all like blah blah blah, like he's just letting it out or whatever. And then it ends. Spoiler alert, cut to the chase. Like it ends with him like in prison, and he's like this big guy's bitch whose name is Bubba or whatever. And he's just like that's his life now with like a handlebar mustache. And it's just like, well, he's just because he's just, I don't know. It's culturally it was a very interesting film. It's like up there with like White Man's Burden, which actually some people would say didn't age well. I think From what I gather, I think it aged pretty well. I mean, I haven't seen it in at least a few years, but like.
Are you talking about Pulp Fiction?
I'm talking about White Man's Burden, Lloyd. The John Travolta movie where he's like
I get those two confused.
the races get switched like a Twilight Zone or whatever.
Oh, 1995, White Man's Burden. Oh, here's a book it was based on, 1899. Wow, it's a Saturnalia piece. What a gnarly piece of art right there. I'm gonna have to save that. That's out of control, man. You gotta save stuff like this because it won't exist forever,
Yeah.
But it's a movie where he gets switched. I never saw this movie.
It's one of those like it's so bad it's kind of good.
It's like Face Off. Yeah, Nick Cage, but it's bad. It's way better. What?
Yeah.
This is like a Mandela effect. I ought to see this one. This is really Nick Cage looks like in this timeline.
I like that you say Mandela effect so nonchalantly instead of Mandela.
Yeah, I do it now on like purpose. I started it a while ago, and I was like, well, there's no way it's not. That's what it really is. And we're just.
What do you think the first documented occurrence of the Mandela effect is?
Documented? I mean, I remember Nord in Illuminati's trilogy. Like that's where I heard, but I'm sure that people. The idea of people mixing things up goes back far. What about the new one? Britney Spears' skirt. You guys been paying attention to that one?
No, I didn't catch that one.
Britney Spears plaid Mandela effect.
Okay.
Well,
All right.
Is it a yellow clueless type skirt?
Yeah, it should be. That would be great. You guys remember all the time with her, and then she recently even did a picture of her wearing the green plaid skirt. But now, of course, there never was black. There never were green plaid skirts. They were always black skirts.
Always.
Always black skirts.
I remember black skirts.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm starting to remember it myself. You know.
I don't know.
Meaning you've assimilated. That's the album cover, man. Why didn't she use that as a straight album cover? She should have just had the title on the spine. You know what I mean? Like that should have just been it.
That's just because that tells you how she remembers the skirts and what it does to her.
Dude, I want to hear that musician. You know what I mean? Like it's like, can you do the fucking, you know? Like
I guess. I mean, I want Max Martin to do whatever he wants.
Dude, I remember, like, maybe this is a Mandela effect, but I remember when she shaved her head, and I feel like, I could be wrong, but I feel like this was live, where it was like her parents were trying to get into the house, and there was like men in black suits talking to Britney while she's freaking the fuck out, and you could see her in the front and through the window, like going all crazy, and the parents trying to get to her, and them being stopped by like the black suits, and they're like, sorry, and they're like, that's our fucking daughter, and they're like, no, man, please, she's, you know, like they came out,
she's
like,
more than a girl. Yeah,
it's like, yeah, dude, that was the handlers shit, and they're like, well, this is one time where the handlers aren't in private, you know what I mean? Like we're all seeing the handlers, like all, like that was a very revealing moment. I remember. I only saw it once. I never saw it again, but maybe you could find it. I don't know. I haven't tried.
I know, like I've been watching her be naked all the time on Instagram, you know, and not just because it's exciting and makes me happy, but I think anthropologically it's an important thing that we're watching her desaturate the scarcity of the commodity that has been exploited, which is her, and it's been exploited by them, you know. So it's this thing where by her doing that, it's like she's like, hey, there's nothing left to sell, please stop raping me.
Right. Well, it's always the same thing, right? It's fucking Andy Kaufman and fucking the dude. What's his alter ego?
Tony
Clifton.
Tony. Who's Tony? And so he has his alter persona, just like Eminem had Slim Shady, and there's Marshall Mathers. You know what I mean? Like there's David Bowie, and there's Ziggy Stardust, or there's whoever he is that week. You know what I mean? But like there's that phenomenon. But it's also like Lady Gaga, as far as I can tell, she's doing like more even overt like acknowledgement of the Metropolis angle, where it's like you have the high priestess, and then you have the replicant of the high priestess that's like the golem of sorts. And so like, you know, Britney is who she is, and that's the thing about, you know, the head shape, all of that. She's like, I am somebody, and now I have this other representation of me that people are relating to, and she's like, how do I reconcile this? And there really is complete duality, so there's no way to really reconcile it. That's also why Marilyn Manson, which tying back to the scapegoat thing, it's like the most loved and the most hated. Well, everyone loves Marilyn, everyone fucking hates Manson. So it's like that, you know.
Well, everybody loves Spears, nobody loves Griner. There's a Britney that's in prison, 6'9", the star of the WNBA. She's in a literal black iron cage.
She's not Glenn Maxwell. We got other things to worry about, you know.
She's been there since February.
Frankly, I think that her spending some time in Russia might be good for her.
But imagine if like Michael Jordan. Listen,
I do. Did you ever watch that movie? Watch that movie where the guy gets sent to a boxing match in Russia. Oh man, what is that movie? You know what I'm talking about?
Boys Town? No, just kidding.
Dude, boxing, prison, Russia movie. What is that movie? The sequel. Undisputed 2, right? Undisputed. Undisputed. Okay. So you guys ever seen Undisputed? You know what I'm talking
about? I don't think so.
Okay, maybe. So there's first off, great movie, Undisputed, hands down, wonderfully filmed movie about.
I won't dispute that.
American movie. You could do. I mean, I can't wait for the synchronicity because I'm sure that it goes really good to ABBA. But this is Wesley Snipes, and this is Ving Rhames, and this is the guy who said he got raped in Hollywood, or some producer tried to touch him. One of the guys who said that anyway. There's been a number of stories like that about Hollywood. So Me Tooing movement, but there's a sequel. There's a sequel to Undisputed. And it's so much better. It's the best movie ever made. It's called Undisputed 2: Last Man Standing, with a completely different cast and a completely different crew, but a great title nonetheless. It's an American spoof. But they take a black boxer and they send him to a Russian prison where he hasn't done anything wrong, and they plant drugs on him. But they want to film him because the gangsters who run the Russian prisons make a bunch of money filming these internet videos of people boxing against each other in the Russian prison, and they move people around from their prisons in Georgia to Russia to blah 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 blah. And so this dude, he has to, like, it's the greatest movie ever. I don't know. But maybe my point is they're going to do that, but with women, because Russia still has women. They believe in women. So maybe they're going to prove it's a real, non-transgendered Russian female prison boxing. Could be.
Hey, have you seen Cassandra Crossing?
Is that not, I'm sorry, Cassandra, everything pretty silent?
No, the Cassandra Crossing. Do you know about this?
No, what is this? Crossing. Hold on, I'm pulling it up. Let's see. What is this? 1976 movie disaster. There's like another Cassandra? How many Cassandras are there going to be? And you've got, oh my gosh, it's a train movie, and you've got O.J. Simpson. I'll shut up. Tell me more.
So 2 years ago or whatever, my head fucking exploded looking at this shit. So I watched this movie. It's got fucking O.J. Simpson. It's got, you can see right here.
Burt Lancaster?
Yeah.
I'm just freaking out.
Yeah.
What the hell's happening?
Yeah. Sophia Loren. Okay.
Dude, this movie's gonna be great.
Right. So it's a virus that there's like activists, and one of the activists gets fucking like hit with this. They're in a lab and they don't like what the lab is doing, so they get infected with this flu virus.
Trans-European. I see the
right. And so they evade the police, they escape, and they end up on this train. And the train ends up getting quarantined because the military zeroes in on where the person went who was infected with the virus.
Oh,
and so they quarantine this train. And I'm just going to spoil it. And you're looking at the plot in front of you. But anyway, like basically, like they are going to the military decides they're going to kill everyone on this train by fucking sending them down a track that goes over this crossing called Cassandra Crossing. The reason they named it there is because the people who lived in the village below it moved because they believed that at some point this whole bridge is going to collapse on the village. And so like they steer the train towards this crossing, and people become hip to it who are on the train. They know that they're going the wrong way, and they're like, oh shit, they're going to fucking kill us all. And so but then like they realize that the air vents that they put in all this air, this oxygen into the thing, that people are actually getting better. And that even though they thought everyone was going to die, that actually they're going to be okay. And this isn't as bad as they thought, that it's a manageable virus. And so, but the military fucking won't stop its course anyway, because it still doesn't believe it and it's not sure. And they're like, we got to, and so it's basically going to kill everyone on the train. And also, it obviously brings to mind the philosophical train conundrum issue.
Right, a utilitarian train. Yeah, who's going to have?
Yeah. And so yeah. So, but it's like this movie to me is like talking about like Trump trackdown is to that whole scene. Like this is like the COVID in a fucking nutshell. Like what the issues were around, like like you don't know what's going to happen. And if you're basing your decision on worst case scenario, you can become super destructive by trying to evade what would be the, ultimately lesser problem. You create bigger problems in trying to solve a lesser problem.
Guys in APM, new homework: make more esoteric and occult trolley problem memes. I feel like there's never been like a witch or some levitation or something kind of, just make it more fun. I think make more fun with it. That's what we need, man. Smurfs in the trolley problem. That's the thing, dude. That sounds like a crazy movie. Oh my god, have you synchronized it to anything? Does it work with any soundtrack yet?
I played around, but I no magic did I experience. I mean, the thing itself is kind of it's all right. Yeah,
dude.
So
Michael Jackson Invincible. I mean, well, I don't want you to change it if you're still on that. I just want to say that I remember Michael Jackson Invincible synchronizes amazingly to Star Wars Episode 1 3 times, and it deserves more. It's crazy. The songs change when things explode, and there's fade to blacks and sweeping cuts. It's great. All right, what were you saying though? That sounds like that wasn't where you were going.
I'm just trying to process that right now. I'm like trying to connect because, well, the thing is, like, in front of his childhood home, there stands a monolith replication of the monolith from 2001: A Space Odyssey with an image of him doing the moonwalk. He's Moonwalker. So like the ape in 2001: A Space Odyssey that was playing Moonwatcher, not Moonwalker, Moonwatcher in the film. That's the first ape to touch the monolith. Who's the one with the bones who fucking realizes, oh shit, I can fucking kill things or whatever. That ape was played by the director of photography for John Lennon's Imagine video.
What? What? So Dan Richter playing ape playing on the ape of 2001 Life with John and Yoko. Wow.
Yeah.
What the heck?
So John Lennon is quoted as having said that 2001 should be played every day in a cathedral. He actually donated money for people so that everyone could see 2001 if they could, whether or not they could afford it. Like he paid for
funny
people's
because
tickets.
the ape always subconsciously reminded the Moonwatcher ape always subconsciously reminded me of Yoko Ono. Like especially like her Eric Clapton days where she sings and she's like, oh, like that.
You're gonna hate me for this, but I used to be on the bandwagon of fuck Yoko. She broke up the Beatles. I fucking love Yoko Ono.
I love Yoko because
you know when I started loving Yoko Ono actually is the first time that I fucking had ayahuasca. And seriously,
well, that's not gonna
like every
anybody.
time since I had ayahuasca and I listened to some of the shit that she does with her voice, I'm like, oh, I feel like I get flashbacks from like my ayahuasca experiences with her primordial fucking like deep feminine fucking like all like up like just the elevator from The Shining, just splashing it all over me, like I'm totally down. And I really do like that witchy shit because it's like she had that album Yes I'm a Witch, and then she had like Yes I'm a Witch too or whatever. I play that with the Crucible. It's really fun, and it's like it's loaded with like remixes from like Milk and Honey songs and Double Fantasy.
The Yardbirds were involved with Yoko. All kinds of dudes were doing weird, idiosyncratic, non-Euclidean music with her and expression art. I love it too. Just because I think it looks like someone in a Sasquatch suit like screaming. I've done the same.
Yeah. Also, Sean Lennon is my absolute fucking favorite person to follow on Twitter. Of everybody on Twitter, fucking Sean Lennon is my favorite. Yeah.
I might have to look into that. I definitely love his Primus stuff he's been doing. He did some interesting Primus stuff.
Dude, can you find me a fucking good copy of Joe's Apartment? Because I think that like they never released it on DVD or something. It was just or something. Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's super hard to find.
I'll look. I wonder if it's an Odyssey.
What's that album that has the fucking Crowley Parsons song on it with the roach on the front?
Is that the newer one? I know he put out like 3 music videos this last.
Yeah, I just got the Monolith one with the a Crater on the Moon? What is it called? Fuck, I can't remember his album, but the Les Claypool Lennon Delirium or whatever. But I played that other album with Joe's Apartment. It was really fun.
The inside.
It was I don't know. It doesn't always have to be like profound or whatever. It was an interesting thing.
Yep, Delirium. Yeah, I mean that's a great thing. I mean they put out some interest in the music videos. Have got some occult stuff and are kind of pointing out things going on in Hollywood.
Yeah, he doesn't want to talk about his high weirdness with his dad in any kind of like dialogue from any interviews when he goes on things. He'll be like, no, he doesn't want to go there. But then meanwhile, you look at some of his music video stuff, and it looks like you're watching like Lucifer Rising, like it's like or maybe some Holy Mountain, like it's like gets in super occulty and stuff, and it's like, well, he certainly seems to be into high weirdness. Maybe I guess it's just sensitivity around his dad, or maybe I don't know. I was also told this too, so I don't know the context of how people have brought it up to him, how they've approached him about it.
Lance Morissette just came out recently saying that they're all pedophiles, talking about the music industry and that multiple men had sex with her when she was 15. This huge expose in her documentary that's being released this week, right? Or no, it's last year. But all this stuff that came out about what's going on in the industry and all these crazy occultists. I mean, I don't blame Sean Lennon for not wanting to talk about the industry, the weirdness around his family, you know, anything like that, because it's probably like pretty personal. But who knows, right? Like what went on.
When I say high weirdness, I'm more speaking to like, you know, the Dakota Rosemary's Baby, and like, why are there 3 fucking Volkswagen Beetles in front of the place where John Lennon dies in the movie? And they like, the parking got whatever, the valet or whatever, like points to the exact spot and shit like that. Like, from what I understand, it's like if somebody brings that up, or Mark David Chapman's weird history or anything, you know, it's just like, well, catch
wait
a
a
ride,
second.
you know?
Why don't you elaborate a bit on the Rosemary's Baby connection, because that's kind of an interesting one. I don't think everyone knows. So what's the deal with that?
Well, I mean, there's a million deals with that, but like, yeah, so there you go. That's a good image. So yeah, so like, this is something anybody can, you know,
corroborate,
put together in your mind. And like, I mean, I saw that in my head like so easily before I ever saw it represented, because it's just so obvious, you know. Like, but yeah, so John Lennon was killed in front of the Dakota where he was living, where Rosemary's Baby was shot. Although the interior in Rosemary's Baby is not technically the Dakota, but it's all the exterior shots, and you know, that they filmed at the Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, originally that role of Rosemary was going to be given to Sharon Tate. She
was murdered.
In 1969, and so Rosemary's Baby was released in 1968. I believe the first movie Polanski did following Rosemary's Baby was Tess, which he dedicated to Sharon.
Oh, so she wasn't even dead yet when they switched the character,
right? And so Mia Farrow was, who starred in Rosemary's Baby, was with the Beatles in India right before filming began for Rosemary's Baby. So she was, you know, doing acid with the fucking Beatles and the Maharishi and shit. It's just, you know, and so that song Dear Prudence, you know, that is for Prudence Farrow, Mia's sister, and kind of like speaking to her that she, you know, like come out from your shell, because she'd gone so deep into meditation that she like didn't want to hang out anymore. Like, she's like, all she wanted to do was just like do mantra, and just, you know, she just wanted to chant with her eyes closed, and that's like what she was doing. And so it's like this call to be like, come out. There's interesting aspects to the Prudence thing, because of, you know, the 10 of Pentacles and tarot being Prudence in the Crowley deck, and that's the sun in Virgo, and you have Virgo as the, you know, gestation. It's the, you know, Rosemary's Baby, that's like this whole thing. And then Sharon Tate would later be killed 8.5 months pregnant, and so, you know, you have that connection to Rosemary's Baby, because she was to play Rosemary. So it's just like this, and then it's so meta, you know, it's like a meta narrative where you're like, whoa, how does this bleed over? And so, and then, you know, part of the profundity there too is that you're dealing with a filmmaker who's the only filmmaker that I know of in the world that survived the Warsaw Ghetto as a Jew who had Nazis shooting at his feet. And so like frequently, like my beef is like, if you bring something like that up and just point it out, it's like everything gets turned into this excuse for somebody's actions from something years later. So it's like, his wife is fucking murdered by mutants. He fucking had to evade the Nazis. The Pianist is very autobiographical. You know, like, it's just, there's no other example of somebody like that. So I just find it fascinating that when we know that, you know, what you'd call pedophile rings, which are often just what casting agencies are, they work as essentially not just pedophile, but prostitution rings that can include younger people. Who the fuck knows? You know, I'm sure shit goes on, but the thing is like, this has been going on for a long time, and I find it really interesting that the particular people that we tend to make a big fucking thing out of from something that happened, that actually communication's gone on between him and Samantha Gamer, and like if you listen to her take, it's just like this whole hopefully this whole other reflection for when people are doing activism on your behalf, and then you have something to say about it, and they don't want to listen to you because they're trying to help you, and you don't want to help. So they treat it like a Patty Hearst type thing, you know. It's like, oh, she sided with her kidnappers, and she never sided with them. She's not okay. None of it's okay. And you know, I mean, you know, my understanding is I think that it was like that was a gift from fucking Jack Nicholson or whatever, you know, like it was at his fucking house. He's like, you know, they're alone at Jack's house. What the fuck? And as far as the woman's mother is concerned, she probably was completely aware of what it took at that time, especially whatever that time, any time to make it in the industry, you know, for a lot of girls. It's like that's what it is. And so, but like of all
people
the fucking
forget
people,
that clowns and whores are the vaudeville type, you know, and that's what acting comes out of vaudeville, not out of the royal family.
Right. I mean, it's like somebody like Jack Nicholson is like untouchable in the same way that Hugh Hefner was. You know, we treat it that it's just like, oh, I'm sure he's having a blast. He's living it up. He's a fucking movie star or whatever. But like, dude, like the shit goes on all the time. And we tend to take certain people, and then that's the scapegoatism. It doesn't mean that the person's innocent. It just means that, hey, there's a bigger fucking picture here. You narrowed everything down to one thing. It's why wasn't it? It said that that Castro's favorite film is Jaws.
Right. Yeah.
Did we discussed this before?
No, I don't think we did on the show though. Explain. So why did he love Jaws so much? Why did Castro?
Because apparently Jaws is like the perfect representation of like American consumers, Americans' tendencies. So it's like, we want to play on the beach, we want to just have a good fucking time, but this fucking shark is there's a risk in the water. We need to get rid of that fucking risk factor. And then like, but it's all about that focus on this one thing, and then everything will be all right. Well, there's a million fucking things. So it's like we tend to consolidate, and it's like a coping mechanism because you get bombarded with so much information and so much shit that you zero in on these things. I mean, it's just, there's also just the point of like in your own body, like when you react to stimulus, you know, it's like you contract and expand in relationship to a fucking screen. Like, you know what I mean? Like your reaction to the thing, and it's like, what is this actually doing, you know? Like, if you know, I wish more people would reflect on that when they're fucking in traffic or whatever and they get pissed off. It's like, when you fucking are tensing up, what is that actually doing for the situation? Like for you, like it's super, like, I don't know, man. Like this has been stressful times. So people's like health is like fucking, you know, I mean, COVID isn't the only thing that you know can affect our health and lives in a major way, you know. I mean, yeah.
What about so I mean, like in terms of optics, right? So I wanted to jump, and also let's make sure this is unmoderate, but like, so they've got all these stories where transgender pride parades and bars and things have been having like strippers with their breasts out and holding hands with like little 6'3", 5-year-old kids that their parents are bringing to these transgender events and stuff. Are we, you know, on one side we have people that are saying, hey, this is bad, but I'm also worried that we're getting to a point where it's like Sharia, where we're going to be, you know, America's pushing, you know, there's that pendulum, right? It swings so hard one direction, it swings back. Are we, you know, the Highland shooter having pink hair, are we starting to change our narrative and our ideology a bit and saying maybe it's not just the, you know, these waspy frat kids, they're not all the problem anymore?
Well, I mean, I think in the mix of all this is a lot of the medical industry and pharmaceuticals once again. And so when you're dealing with the medication that people are getting, there's a lot of money in that. And so if you're going to speak to the Bernaysian side of that, along with a lot of the other bodily autonomy issues, you'll find kind of the same linking. It's like activist causes for bodily autonomy, like a lot of those causes overlap, and like that's a blind spot, because and people will use it as this kind of like this polarizing thing where they're like, oh, so like on the abortion debate, they'll be like, oh, so you're pro-choice, or not just you're pro bodily autonomy, you want to protect women. Well, you know, what do you say to you know, vaccine mandates? And like frequently, you know, people will be like, well, fuck, you know, yeah, we need vaccine mandates, but you know, and it's like, but on both sides, you're like, dude, like, I mean, I don't know, I shouldn't, whatever. My feelings on it is I'm pro-choice, you know, for a variety of reasons, but that doesn't mean that I'm pro-abortion. Abortion fucking sucks, and you need to have other. It's not just a matter of just get an abortion. It's like you need a whole variety of ways to.
The fact that in the 80s, corporations were like doing these giant buildings for daycare programs, paying people to watch the kids, and it's expensive. And so all these corporations that are saying, hey, you know, if we pay for your abortion, we're not going to have to pay for all this other stuff for the kids for the rest of time.
Dude, is this an elephant in the room right now? Because
I kind of think so.
No, because check it out. Because you have like the morning after pill, right? Like they're working and have been working, and who knows at what point, like, and even including what we already have, like there's a medication to abort your baby that goes beyond the morning after, and like that is going to be available. I would almost guarantee you in all 50 states that people will be able to get that, and they will pitch it as here's your solution of your right. So it's like it really does feel like, because I mean, even this is what I would like a lot of liberals to look at too, is it's like, dude, you know, RBG, you know, I mean, she was very opposed to Roe versus Wade, while at the same time being pro-choice, because she felt that it was just a bad law for what it was, and its basis had everything to do with privacy. Which
and doctors, she thought like it should be the woman, and it should be not just the woman, it's a citizen's right versus a doctor informing you what your permissions are, which is a pretty fair. Ironically, I mean, the conservatives would agree with that more than the Ginsburg supporters themselves. You know,
right? Well, that's the thing, and so she just didn't feel like it was that should have been our means. Like we don't value privacy like we used to. That was the basis of Roe versus Wade, was a privacy issue. And that means fucking jack shit to a lot of people. Not myself. Like I'm fucking, you know, I got a 70s spirit, but like, you know, a lot of people, it's like glass houses, you know, whatever, you know. I'm like, I don't, you know, that's the thing. It's like, I don't know. Just like looking at Hunter's face in pretty much all his activities, he almost always has the same expression on his face. And it's just like, it's lowly. And even his smile feels like just like he's bummed. Like it's like a bummed smile. It's weird. It's like his face just is like formed that way from like his feelings and his experience, you know. It's just
that
like
parallel back to Brittany Griner with all those pleas for President Biden to get her out of jail, right? How many times did the big guy make a call and get Hunter Biden out of a sticky situation? Isn't that what they're pushing right now in the media?
Yeah. But that's why I'm wondering, like, what does Hunter have on his dad? Because he's got to have something on the system. His dad on everything. I mean, the guy's calling Pedo Pete in his phone allegedly. Like, what does he got on him? Because he's clearly allowed.
There's that energy deal with Ukraine. What is it? Do you know about it? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, well, you know, we could open up the page on that. Actually, let's see, Hunter Biden, Ukraine. Let's just pull up like what is the most mainstream acceptable source for this. BBC, right? And is there a pigeon translation? I don't know, but
does it say false? Is there going to be a thing?
What was he doing in Ukraine? Second son during 2020 election. Asked about allegations and what do we know about the federal investigation? They've been investigating. Also, if you type in Hunter Biden. CNN, I noticed this the other day that like the only news articles were like a week ago. Ignored voicemail allegedly left for Hunter Biden on business dealings, right? So all of these companies were ignoring all the stories on business dealings. So, but what we saw basically is he's accepting like social roles for Ukrainian and Chinese companies where he's the, you know, the big name, the big white American name that they're using, and they'll pay him millions of dollars for that. Sometimes multi-million, $10 million annual fee from his Chinese billionaire for introduction alone, because now they're associated with the Bidens, right? So that's the thing, is he's just cashing in on his dad's name a lot of the time, which is horrible and all, but it's not like the same as espionage. And so we got to wonder about that. Like, what does he know? Who is he promising things to? What promises are coming through? And the fact that China and Taiwan are so imminent, as well as we were looking at Ukraine, I mean, we have to wonder, you know. Biden's lawyer said he had joined the board in an unpaid position. based on his interest in seeking ways to bring Chinese capital to international markets because he's a do-gooder, right? So
dude, did you watch the
Gentlemen, I got to roll.
Oh, you got to roll.
Right.
Okay,
bro.
Hey, hold on 1 second. 1 second.
Yeah.
Can you bring me a rolling paper at some point here?
Sure.
That'd be awesome.
Word.
That's so meta.
Hey, I think it was Macron and I hope I'm pronouncing that halfway right, but the French president and Biden, and they're walking along, and I think he must have known that they were in camera range, but he started talking about the oil in Saudi Arabia and saying, "No, this is a no-go for you. You're not getting your. They can't help you with the oil." Did you see this?
No, what is this?
It's just like, I don't know, it's from like maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago or something, but it was just like some footage and audio of what apparently looked like Macron wanting the press to pick up on what he was saying to Biden about the oil situation in Saudi Arabia.
Biden aide interrupts as
Thank you,
Macron.
sir.
This is it. Is this it? Biden aide interrupts as Macron spills bad news about oil crisis. Is it?
I don't know. Let me see the video.
You'll have to pull up.
They're like outdoors.
Yeah, it's probably it right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the oil deal is going to be a no-go. There's no way they can make that happen. I got a super chat I got to also acknowledge. Stephen Collins says, speaking of pregos, have you heard of diapause? Diapause is the delay of development in response to regular recurring periods or adverse environmental conditions, psychological state with various specific initiating and inhibiting conditions. The mechanism is a means of surviving predictable unfavorable environmental conditions such as temperature extremes, drought, or reduced food availability. Diapause is observed in all life stages of arthropods, especially insects. Embryonic diapause, a somewhat similar phenomenon, occurs in over 130 species of mammals, possibly even humans, and in the embryos of many of the oviparous species of fish in the order of Cyprinodontiforms. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's something that, I mean, I'm curious with the human. What else we got? Mammal? Nope, that's all. They don't want you to look into that too deeply. So there must be something deep here.
Yeah.
It must be really important. I imagine that there's maybe someone's saying they're curious if diapause exists in humans, and if so, if it would be affected by medications like period pausing medications. Also, there was a super chat to look at Brighton Park. Brighton Park, I'd know literally nothing about, except it's in Atlantic City, but they were saying, do you see a hieroglyph or something to that effect? I don't know. Help me look in here really quickly. Let's go to the Brighton Park. Well, we've got this kind of interesting stage and grove-like thing here. If anybody knows anything about this, what do you think? What do you see?
If you ask Scott Onstott about this, he'd probably give you a pretty detailed explanation of what this is in relationship to or whatever.
We should reach out to Scott, get him to do some stuff. I mean, this is pretty interesting looking. And yes, the fact that you've got this diamond, this spheroid, and this glyphing grove right here, that's kind of interesting. I wonder.
That's an octahedron right there.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Kind of covered in trees. I wonder what is this whole. So if anybody knows anything about Brighton Park, the super chat was asking. So send stuff to the Tartar Nova Discord to let us know more. There's another thing.
Everyone should see Secrets in Plain Sight, by the way. I mean, it's long, but that's a great resource on all kinds of sites around the world, and just really a very objective view. He doesn't go into any wild extrapolations around why any of this stuff could be. He's just very, very reasonable dude. Scott Onstott actually does not have I believe it's a right arm and both his legs.
Wow.
And when I met him, I touched his feet. I kissed his feet, basically. And then Alan was like, he doesn't have legs, right? And I was like, I know, man.
I'm gonna have to get new ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is cool. Like he does some stuff where it shows you like the connections between Stonehenge and France, Island of Lundy, and the connections. There's a lot of really great stuff.
Right. So if you look up, there's like I think it's over 3 hours, the full movie. But yeah.
I don't know where. I mean,
Right,
I've had a hard
cool.
time finding the full. There's an hour version. I know there's at least 3 hours, so I don't know where they all are.
Is.
But
I think if you put full, that would probably help. But yeah.
But you had also brought up Marilyn Manson as something I wanted to kind of like cover really quickly. We'll probably finish up at the end of the hour, but I was thinking that we should know what is going on here because so many Americans are saying, "Hey, Johnny Depp is innocent. Is Marilyn Manson innocent?" And that's kind of an interesting thing, just at least ideologically, because that wasn't possible before. And of all people, right? First it's Jesus, then it's Barabbas, right? Adam, I think you kind of look at Johnny Depp as Jesus. If for some people look at Johnny Depp as,
if you want to just cut through and just look at the legal document itself, you just go to Marilyn Manson's Twitter account, and it should be right up there at the top. A link to the actual the PDF of what has actually been filed, basically accusing Evan Rachel Wood of impersonating the FBI and basically coaching and directing other women to what their stories are. And it's, so this if you want to get a good perspective on his side of it, because a lot of people like Rolling Stone ran in both. So Rolling Stone originally ran something basically just calling him a rapist, and then flash forward, Rolling Stone published that this was released and acknowledged that there's another side here. And so it's like with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, it's just it's so dysfunctional. They're both so dysfunctional is the thing. And they're also just like, can you imagine like existing in that fucking paradigm that they exist within? It's insane. And so like that's not an excuse, but it is there, it's just like who these people are, and like what that life is like. He's basically a rock star, Johnny Depp, and he made that clear that he was like, I wanted to be a musician and I ended up being an actor against my own, ideal of what I wanted for myself. So it's like, and then he's played with Marilyn Manson quite a bit. They're really good friends, Actually, I think it was his sister or somebody. It could have been someone related to Evan Rachel Wood on Twitter. I had one of those kind of geeky moments where I was like, oh shit, I just got a response from somebody who's actually like directly linked into this. Because I just made a statement. I said, Amber Heard and Evan Rachel Wood are friends. And then she got really defensive and said they're not friends. They don't know each other. They got one photo opportunity together at Sundance or something. And I was like, oh well, it's just funny because the news, it said that that they were close. I saw that somewhere, and I was able to show them that. And I'm like, if you say that they don't know each other, and they're like, and she's like, that kind of exclamation point, no, they don't know each other. And it's like, oh, okay, well, gotcha. But it's hard to imagine that.
I'm trying to find the thing. There's a new show that Johnny Depp's daughter's in where she marries or she gets into a relationship with a guy who runs a cult in Los Angeles, right? That's like the thing that's coming out right now. I don't remember what it's called, but it's going to be really interesting because, the cult show, it's going to be about a guy in LA who has a bunch of young girls and has, kind of power as a secret society running LA and everything. I mean, are they starting to put this stuff? Why are they putting this out now? Why are they picking Marilyn Manson's case to be? Because it seems like these things happen in order. You have the hero. People love Johnny Depp, and then you got this guy that's been painted as the villain, right, in the Antichrist.
Right. Well, if you play the movie 13, 13 with Amber Heard, she's like playing a 13-year-old. If you play that with Marilyn Manson's "Eat Me, Drink Me," that's some crazy shit. So I have it encoded. I haven't uploaded that one. I've been sitting on it for a while. Good.
I want to see that. I mean, 13 was such a painful movie to watch because it's like all these girls like that. And I was about 13 at the time. Like, man, so he just feels bad. Feel bad for all these other girls and they're 13.
Mm-hmm.
What about so the fire? Last thing I want to cover is the Bill Gates fake meat factory fire. You saw this, right? One of the things that was kind of interesting was, this AP article came out yesterday saying the Dutch building wasn't owned by Bill Gates. And there's a whole bunch of things saying that maybe he had already sold it and that they had traded the e-grocer, but the trust is not a controlling shareholder, etc. So that there's other people involved.
Look at the insurance.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm wondering about.
It's like 9/11, dude. That guy filed, what was it? Like, it was something crazy. It was like 2 weeks before or something. No, maybe it was 2 months. I don't know. But it was shortly before. It's the biggest investment that had ever been made on a single piece of property in the world. Like, shortly before 9/11. And they fucking made all their fucking money back for that. It was like, wow, that was really lucky timing there, you guys. Should that have happened a couple months sooner? Fuck. Yeah.
How about the full buck moon? I saw this. John Hinckley's not the same John Hinckley. Newswatch's 16's John
Hickey.
Oh, okay. All right. I couldn't help but see it. But the full buck moon, what do you think's going on with this? There's a super moon supposed to be here in a couple of days, and we started talking a little bit about Schumann resonance and CERN. Do you think things are getting like crazier, like environmentally? Like, is reality starting to act up more? Is it not just us?
Well, what I actually think is that the Kleepboat are kind of creating more and more and more strain on the emanated flow, and at some point the levee will break and the whole thing will explode. But up until that point, I think we can, if we're going to be like forecasting what's going to be happening with consciousness, I would expect further and further restrictions, more kind of like enforced duality at like heightening kind of levels until we actually, break free from the fucking, enshrouding snake that's kind of been choking us. So like, we'll shed the skin and we'll move forward out of that, out of that shell. And then what stands beyond that is unknown. But at this point, I think you can expect a lot more chaos.
I want to get a Syncflix party, a watch party going. We could put a Syncflix up in the Discord. I'll start at the same time and listen to the radio chat sometimes. So if you ever want to if you have a specific one you want to show people, we'll set up a time and we can show one of your episodes, and do like a watch party.
Sure, I'm down. Although, it's kind of a meditative thing. So as far as like having discussions over it, like you'll be missing things as they happen. We can mute a lot of people except for the push to talk people you want to have, jump in or something for a second. And you can have what you'll have usually is like a scrapbook of people sending text back and forth. So you can be like, check this part here. You can say that aloud. And then someone can have a link to what the reference is to. Yeah. The way I traditionally like to do it is to give kind of a talk explanation, to some back and forth at the beginning, and then just watch it. And then afterwards have a discussion around it so that people can actually process what the fuck it is that they're looking at. Cause it's not your normal thing. So like last night I noticed that. Hey,
some babes want to come.
Jesus Christ, it's good shit.
Rose,
are you recording this very second? Because some babes want to come hang out and smoke spliffs and say hi.
I'm done with him. I'm letting him go.
Oh yeah, no, we're just gonna talk for a little bit longer.
We're almost done.
You can say hi.
Yeah. Hey Rose, what's up? Rose, it's so long. It's been so long. How you been?
Hi. Oh, you got even cuter.
You can't.
I can hear him kind of through your headphones.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
You too. You got cuter too. That's awesome. I miss you.
I've been loving you and missing you from a distance for years and years. Being like, someday we're gonna hang out in real life.
Same, literally the same. We have to all hang out soon. I'm gonna have to come back to Santa Cruz when it's not on fire. Last time I did that, it was.
Trust your guts. Don't take any shit and keep doing what you're doing. And we love you.
We love you too, man. I can't wait we have to do a talk. You have to come on the show sometime. I'm so glad to see you. This is crazy.
Yeah, we have to get caught up.
Yeah, awesome. Peace. All right. Well, you know what? Like, I
feel like there was something else there that needed to be addressed, and
the fires of war call, David. It's true.
Right. I don't know. We should at the very least, maybe we should just do this again soon, because I feel like there's more ground that, and like I talk about these topics and I kind of give some of my bullet points, but there's some more nuances that I'd like to communicate. But
yeah, we're slowly turning you into a fully fledged NBC pundit, and by that point, and now the columnist comes in to give us his opinion on Amber Heard and Sharon Tate. So that's what they all want, you know. So all right, but I love you very much, and I'm glad you came tonight, and we'll definitely do this soon. We should definitely do like MK Ultra nights because you'll be around anytime we have a link going, and even if you're free tomorrow, I'll just send you the link. If you have time, you can jump in.
All right, groovy.
Dude, peace out.
Peace out.
Hey, everybody, tune in to Recent Tartarians.
Recent Tartarians. Recent Tartarians. Recent Targaryen. Recent Targaryen. Recent Targaryen.
Hey, everybody, tune in to Recent Targaryen.
Recent Targaryen. Recent Targaryen.